Wait, Ryan Reynolds is in another movie? Oh, it's a time travel movie this time? With Jennifer Garner and Mark Ruffalo. That's actually really cool. They were in another time travel movie way back in the day, 13 Going on 30. I wasn't a big fan of 13 Going on 30. I was more of like a Starship Troopers bro. The futuristic football and the explosions and the great action scenes and then, you know, the shower scenes. It was everything that a growing boy needed. It was great. Now that I'm older, I realize that I never really understood the movie Starship Troopers at all and what it was trying to say. Now I can appreciate it for a completely different reason, just like 13 Going on 30. 13 Going on 30 is about a 13-year-old girl that gets to go and see herself whenever she's 30, and she sees her accomplishments and also her failures. Could you imagine having that kind of either scientific or magical method to go back and fix the mistakes that you've made? Would you take it? Would you not take it? It's a very interesting philosophical question, but it's also has nothing to do with this movie. There's only one thing that matters to Adam. Ryan Reynolds is Adam. Walker Scobell is young Adam. Keep that in mind. We're not gonna explain it every time. Adam is older Adam. Young Adam is young Adam. It's pretty simple. Adam cares about one thing and one thing only: saving his wife. His wife disappeared at their Time Air Force company that they worked for that was his father's partner whenever he was a kid. They don't explain it because you wanna know why? The only thing that matters in this movie is saving Adam's wife. He doesn't care about the space-time continuum. He doesn't care about timelines. He's not doing any of that Doctor Strange shit. He is here to save his wife. So he steals a jet, he gets shot trying to get back, and he ends up going 3 years too early. But wait, he's going backwards, but he went to 2022 when he wanted to go to 2018. So is that early? Did he go too early or did he go too late? Oh my God, time travel movies are confusing. Anyways, so he lands in his childhood backyard to meet his younger self, young Adam. And young Adam has just gotten suspended from school, which is very convenient, for fighting. And his father had just passed away about a year ago, so he's acting out and he's letting his mouth run. And he's also extremely, extremely small.
I've seen babies bigger than me.
This kid is tiny, tiny, tiny. He sees a girl that he likes. He does the classic hey that Ryan Reynolds does in all of his movies, and the girl's just like, no, get out of here, shorty. He's not being the best son for sure. So he always has a smart mouth because, of course, Ryan Reynolds. Whenever she goes on a date, you can obviously tell he's not gonna be the kindest of person, you know, to her about the whole situation. So while she's gone, he hears a rumble and he goes out back. It's beautiful though. It's like the fire from the jet landing has made like these ashes fly everywhere, but he eventually gets scared and runs inside, and while he's running inside, he notices that his father's office is open. Exactly what you would think in a Ryan Reynolds movie if he was meeting his younger self happened. Witty banter.
You know, fall down and scream.
Kind of rude witty dialogue.
No, I was stabbed with a bullet. What do you think, you moron?
And then we're going back to the witty banter. There we go.
That's weird. It farts when I cough.
We're caught up completely.
Can't believe your future me.
So, turns out, though, time jets are a little bit finicky in the future. So they're coded to your DNA, but they also can tell if you are healthy enough to fly them. So he needs Adam to open it up, so he goes in. And then also not explained, because what matters in this movie? Not explaining the time jets. What matters is saving Adam's wife. So he doesn't explain the time jet. Time jets fix themselves. It just needs time. And whenever he heals, the ship will heal, and then they will both be able to jump back to 2018 and figure out what happened. They do right here have some sort of time travel explanation that he explains that you have your fixed time. That is the time that you are meant to be in. Your specific self from that time can only die there and be buried. If you are not in your fixed time, if you die, you turn these bursts of like rainbow particles, right? Which is really good because that means whenever you kill people, you don't have to have blood, and if you don't have to have blood, you don't have to have an R rating. Way to go. While you're outside of your fixed time, you can just keep on running amok, which is fun for the story. I have no idea how physics works. Don't ask me any questions in the comments. I don't know. So now we know that Adam has a few days. Like, he's not gonna be going anywhere for a few days. So we have time for what? Some Back to the Future style shenanigans. Adam needs to go to the drugstore. As you recall, young Adam has just been beat up, and suspended for fighting, and those kids are also suspended. So who do they find? They find young Adam waiting outside the drugstore, which is weird. They couldn't have taken him inside. He leads young Adam into this fight. He tells him like, hey, you need to do this. Kind of tells him, it's like, hey, I want you to know that once you do this, you are gonna win. Like, he doesn't exactly say that, but he doesn't not say that, which is we'll get into it a little bit in a minute. But he says, what you're gonna do is you're just gonna drop to your knees, you're gonna hit this dude in the downstairs as hard as you can. And that doesn't happen. Young Adam gets beat up pretty bad, yeah, and he takes off running. But when he gets home, he does explain that he was being too hard, but the way that Adam thinks about life in 2050 is kind of rough. He thinks that all of the times that he's been beat up and beat down and hurt and taken advantage of, and those are what has led him to be strong. He's hyper-focused into what has been taken away from him, what he doesn't have, not what he does. And honestly, he has had a lot of hits. His father died. His mother and him had a pretty bad relationship, which he regrets to this day. Now his wife disappeared, and I think that it's just a little too much for him right now. And this is all in the middle of his kind of breakdown. He doesn't know if he's right. He doesn't know if his wife is out there, but he has to try, and he's willing to die to try, and he's willing to put anybody else's life in danger. He does not care. And when I say anyone, I mean the entire, space-time continuum. I'm not a physicist, I'm just one of you guys. So instead of thinking about all the things that he has, he only worries about the things that have been taken from him and all the things that have hurt him in his past. Turn that grief and sadness into anger, and he thinks of that Adam as a weak Adam, an inferior Adam. And he even says this multiple times, like when he says,
I had no intention of coming back to revisit this.
Or when he says,
honestly, your future's pretty tragic either way.
Or when he says,
because if I'm being perfectly honest with myself, you have a very punchable face.
Adam realizes something. He can just sense it. It's strange. It's just a little rumble. It's a little nothing. But he tells Adam that it's about to go down, and he throws a grenade towards the door. And this is when you first see someone die outside of their timeline. They call it messy, but it seems to be very clean. You just kind of turn into a rainbow confetti, and then you're dead, you know? So that's cool, I guess. We find out at this moment that Adam, adult Adam, we find out that unlike young Adam, adult Adam can fight like crazy. He pulls out this lightsaber.
It's not a lightsaber.
Taser, plasma, pulse sword, double wielded.
It's a lightsaber, dude.
And he just takes out an entire squad of time cops. He takes them all down, but he eventually loses whenever the jet arrives. Laura comes in. She's ready to handle business. She's been preparing for this. She's staying away, just miles away from where young Adam grew up. She's looking out for him, but she also realizes that she can't make a life here because that would mess up the space-time continuum. And unlike Adam, Laura actually cares about this. She sees the bigger picture, you know? Adam only cares about what he needs and what has been taken away from him, because he also is having this moment. Laura can see that the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. Yes, I just quoted Spock. There's nothing you can do about it. You know what? Just to double down, I'm gonna put a clip of it right now.
The needs of the many.
Whenever they get back to her cabin, they have a few tender moments, and she admits that this isn't gonna work. They're not gonna be able to stay together. That Saurian, the owner of the time travel company, went back to 2018 and biffed herself. I know that sounds crazy, but she told herself what to invest in, and she also only invested in things that destroyed the world. He describes it as,
We've seen Terminator, right?
Obviously.
That's 2050 on a good day.
maybe not Terminator 1 or 2, but if you've ever seen Salvation, Terminator Salvation, McG, Adam is completely 100% against this. Laura and Adam meet in the time travel program. So if there is no time travel, then how are Laura and Adam gonna meet? Like I said, the entire movie, he's been one-track mind. He doesn't care about anything else. He just wants his wife back. This was the one person that, besides his mother and his father, that has always been there for him, and he doesn't care. He just wants her back. But she is a big picture person.
Outweigh the needs of the few.
Adam doesn't want to accept it, but whenever Saurian shows up and they have to defend themselves, he has no choice. He gives her one last kiss and he takes off. Adam kind of lays it out there. He admits that he makes all these mistakes that all stem from the fact that he never gets over his father's death, and that's that's saying a lot, because when you think about it, like, he says that he loses his scholarship. He says that everything is awful until there's he meets one person, and that one person just told him that he needed to leave, go save time. And so he's not feeling so great, but he says, what we have to do is we have to go find Dad. And of course, young Adam, who is desperately missing his father, is down for that. So they hop on the time jet, and then first, we gotta talk about it, they have an amazing flight battle scene, Star Wars or Top Gun level jet battle scenes. Their father, Lewis, played by Mark Ruffalo, he is a professor and he's explaining physics, and he's also captivating the class. He's using quotes, he's making people laugh, he gets a little face-off joke that's on a sweatshirt. But then he says a quote that is from a song that Adam knows that his father told him when he was young. Whenever Lewis sees Adam sitting in the classroom, he doesn't question that that's Adam. He sees his son. He looks right there and he goes, that's Adam. And so after that, it's not, what are you doing here? It's unethical for you to be here. What are you thinking? Like, you can't come back and just like start changing things. What are you doing? It's like, that's messed up. So eventually, after some fisticuffs and stuff, they go back to a motel room to talk about it, which I think is the weirdest thing, because when you think about it, young Adam doesn't have money and Adam doesn't have money. So that means that Lewis had to pay for the motel room. What if Lewis gets in trouble for paying for the motel room, and then they get divorced and they completely ruin the timeline anyways? Lewis basically explains that it's unethical and he doesn't want to do this, if this is what it is. But Sorian has already come back in time. She has already committed all of these horrible acts. She's already changed the whole timeline. So technically it would be setting it straight, but he still doesn't feel that it's ethical to be involved in it at all. He doesn't want to know about his death. He doesn't want to know. He thinks that fate will decide for him. We later find out that he is that noble person and that he doesn't take the information and that he does pass at the same time, which is telling you that Adam's father is a very good man. These might be qualities that Adam is drawn to, like whenever Laura has to do what's right. He says no, he doesn't want to help, so the Adams set off to go destroy the reactor that eventually creates the first time portal on their own. They have a drone that young Adam is flying with his hands. It's pretty cool, I kind of want one. And Adam is doing his awesome lightsaber stuff, and they're just taking out people, but it does get a little bit too much, and there's one car that's about to hit Adam, and that's when Lewis comes to save the day and just slams that Subaru right into it, and there's some more playful banter. Again, this is definitely a Ryan Reynolds movie. Turns out they don't have to destroy it. They just have to get this hard drive, a diamond hard drive that's based downstairs.
We're talking about your penis.
So they go down to the reactor and they grab the hard drive. But this is whenever you realize how poorly the plan has really been thought out. Young Adam was just sitting out there playing with the drone. He gets taken by Sorian. So now they have a hostage. They say, give me the hard drive or I'm gonna kill young Adam. If young Adam dies, Adam ceases to exist, and then this would have never happened. It actually seems like the easiest way to handle everything. The Adams work together to do a bit of trickery and he gets away, but in doing so, a shot is fired that shoots into the reactor and starts a meltdown. Now this starts the coolest fight scene in the world. I'm just gonna put a few clips and then this one thing that's really funny that Walker Scoville did. You really just need to watch the full movie to get the real scope of how awesome some of these fight scenes are. When it's over, Lewis is actually the one that saves the day. He uses his intelligence and his level-headedness to realize that this thing is a giant magnet, and if you were to shoot those bullets, that it's just gonna pull it. So Soren shoots the gun, it shoots out, and the bullet starts to curve, and then hits young Soren, who is standing there, causing Soren to never exist, saving the timeline, at least for now, because time travel will be invented eventually, I would think, but at least not by this company now. It's kind of a Robin Williams, Matt Damon, Good Will Hunting moment with Adam and his father saying, it's like, you make me proud and I will always be proud of you. Then young Adam is left knowing that his father also loved him, that his father is a good man, and that you can't change the past, and that you just have to keep on going with the future. So he's no longer as bitter and angry. So they go and they play catch and get it around a few times, and then a young Adam, like an 8th grade boy does, throws a wild ball. And whenever Lewis turns back, both of his sons are gone, just replaced by a baseball mitt laying on the ground. And he has this look of understanding that, you know, fate is fate. However, if you knew you were gonna die before your kid turned 12 or 13, wouldn't you like lock yourself in a bunker and then wait for him to turn 13 and then see? I don't know, it's a whole thing. We flash back to young Adam, and he is now back in his fixed time. It's the same exact scene. Ellie is looking for the home insurance, or looking for the insurance to pay some bills, and instead of being a complete jerk to his mother, it does work out fairly the same way, but he does it in a much nicer way. He's not there to help her. He has to go to school because he wasn't suspended for fighting, because he's much calmer and he's not as angry. With more of an understanding, or at least the echo of an understanding from his journey, he goes and he gives his mother a hug because he knows that his mother is also grieving, and that that's something that young Adam had never thought about, that his mother was also really, really hurting. She was just taking it on the chin and trying to be strong for him. And then we flash back to probably 2030 or something like that, whenever Adam is in college and he is sitting in his pilot school. He seems to still be on scholarship, so he didn't mess anything up. And guess who sits down next to him in the exact same way that it was described? Laura. She's not just in the wrong classroom, she's in the wrong building on the wrong campus. But in the future, it seems like there's more of a Cambridge, you know, situation where, so he says, I'm gonna walk you over to Schaefer, and then the story continues from there. It leaves you with this feeling that even without a time machine or some magical way to go back or forward or whatever it is, that if we just meditate or just try to come to terms with our past in whichever way it's healthiest for you, that you can live a much more productive life, that you can be happier, and you don't have to hold on to this baggage and let it poison you every step and everywhere you go. Last thing I want to talk to you about is just character. To talk about Adam, we have to talk about Lewis and Ellie. So we're going to start with Lewis. Lewis is a professor. He's very, very smart. He's not a big man. Mark Ruffalo is 5'8", and that's Google, and he's an actor, so that means he's standing at, 5'6.5". Sorry, Ruffalo. He's a little full of himself. He's not a bad dad or anything like that, but he thinks that what he's doing is very important, and he was working all the time.
When you are with us, you're with us 100%. It's amazing. And when you're not, it's like...
Young Adam doesn't really seem to notice it. He really idolizes his father. And it's also the fact that they're both fairly small people, and it's like they're witty, and they use their intelligence to get through things, and the best way to describe it is the way that they confront their bullies. So whenever young Adam is confronting his bully, even though he loses the fight every single time, he also feels that he wins because he's smarter than his bullies. He gets his jokes off, his quips.
Did you order like a bully starter kit on Amazon or something?
He gets to make fun of Chuck.
Shut up, Chuck.
And Ray. He gets to use Chuck to make fun of Ray. All of these things now, and those are his minor victories. Whenever Lewis has to deal with Adam at the university and Adam punches him in the face, the way that he punches back, let's break it down, okay? So he jumps, but he doesn't jump and use an uppercut or use his fist for power on the jump. He just jumps to level himself out. He wants to get eye level with Adam. He's used to fighting as the underdog. He's used to being the little guy, just like young Adam. He's never put much stock into his athleticism, but he also has had to fight back in his life because he's always been a little guy with a smart mouth. And that's what young Adam is. In a few more years, if Adam stays at his regular growth rate, he will be a 5'8" little guy that's in college, and he'll be angry because his father passed away, and he'll get into these fights, and he'll have to figure out a way to level the playing field. And that, to me, is a big indicator of like father and son right there. It's like they are going through the same problems and they're figuring out different solutions, but it's all because they have dealt with the same issues their entire lives. Ellie is like adult Adam. She's strong, she's bigger, like played a secret agent on television for many, many years. Like she is known for being a physical presence. Now, she's not 6'2" like Ryan Reynolds, but you could see where if you started off like Ruffalo, if you were their kid, you could hit a growth spurt and get bigger like Jennifer Garner. The way she handles the death of her spouse is the same way that Adam does. Obviously they do different things, but what they do is they take complete control. They don't let anyone tell them that they're not in control. They don't let anyone see them suffer. They don't do anything. They act accordingly. Where Ellie is in a much different situation, she is taking it day by day, step by step. She's going on a date with this guy, Derek. Doesn't really seem like she wants to go on this date, let's be honest. It's not, she doesn't tell anyone about it. She doesn't really seem to be ready. She's getting ready at the last minute and all of this stuff. But you can tell that she thinks that that's what someone that is controlling the situation would be doing after a year after the death of her spouse. And she doesn't think that maybe this isn't what she wants. She thinks that this is a way to control the situation, and that's exactly how Adam takes life. Okay, we made it through a whole video. Can you even believe it? It's the first one for this page. Like and subscribe. We're gonna be making tons of more videos. We're gonna keep it coming. We're gonna keep coming. Content that you like, the best stuff, only the best stuff. So there's gonna be a lot of movie reviews, tries. You're gonna see some very interesting friends come in, some guest appearances from some really cool people. Just make sure that you follow this page or you're gonna regret it. I'm just telling you, I'm not trying to be a jerk, but you know, there are lots of regrets in life. Don't 13 on 30 regret this, you know what I'm saying? It's like Adam went through a lot and he got a chance to change it. You don't. You better like and subscribe. You know, just saying.